got some pretty decent weather here in Shanghai. It's not as hot as it has been as we're going into autumn. What we've got here is a traditional Chinese party, and it's all due to the fact that this little child here is 100 days old. Okay, so traditionally here in China, what happens is you don't celebrate the birth of a child until they're 100 days old. I guess it's something to do with, you know, the risk of them making that. Now, what this means is that the family that I'm a part of is having a very large meal. This is a kind of standard routine that we get here in China, mainly to do with weddings, but also for 100-day birthday parties. I can't read Chinese, unfortunately, but I think it's Wei... I'll get the name later. Wei Yang Shao, something like that. Okay, so what we have is a lot of food and a lot of booze as well. So you can see we've got baijiu, which is literally white alcohol here in China, but we also have red wine, white wine, and some beer. And what happens is we have typically a kitchen out at the back, and then they are serving all of these dishes. So we've got a fish dish coming out there, and then we've got quite a few tables. Generally each table will have 10 people on it, and then we have the various food laid out. What we have here are the starters, because there's nobody obviously at this table, so this will be the cold food that will come first. We've got a kind of a hot pot heating thing here as well. So we've got some seaweed, some nuts, some chicken, some beef noodles and some fish as the cold set, and usually warm beer, not cold beer. There's a baijiu, a red wine, some coconut water, and I think that's grapefruit juice, and a lot of people. So you can see here typically a bit of smoking going on as well in the restaurant. And what we had earlier on was some lobster as well. So you can see we've got a lobster head there, we've got some crab, I think this is pork that we've got on the bone there, and a table very fully laden. So again, this happens where we've got like double stacking of the food. Some of it will go, but it usually gets incredibly crowded on the table setting, okay? And another typical thing is kind of bottles on the floor next to tables to give a little bit more table space. It gets very noisy, and there are a lot of drinks. Okay, so there's a bit of baijiu, and this is typically what happens. You have people visiting table to table to do a baijiu, or a bottoms up session of drinking. Oh, sorry, baijiu, gambe. Oh, I've missed my table. Here we go. I messed up the name the first time. Wei Xiaoyang. Wei Xiaoyang, I think. Probably pronouncing it incorrectly. Okay, oh, okay. Now, something else that we have typically in these parties is a lot of cigarettes. Shanghai. I think I'm being asked to come out to do something. We're in the non-smoky room to get... Oh, right, okay. There's the baby again now, gone to sleep, okay? Wei Xiaoyang.
Wei Xiaoyang, 对.
Great, thank you.
Wei Xiaoyang.
I'm sure I was pronouncing it incorrectly. Yeah. I'm doing a video for my family.
我是她的奶奶.
Oh, right, yes. Ming Bai. Okay, grandma. This is grandma. Okay, no. Yeah, and here's the less smoky table. 谢谢你. There's the less smoky table with the child. I'm kind of not going to poke the camera in many people's faces. I don't generally like to do that, as far as, you know, people that might not be expecting a video that's actually going to be put out onto YouTube. It is Sunday lunchtime, by the way, so that kind of puts it into context. At weddings, there will be an event for the lunchtime, and then a gap of several hours, usually only around about 4 or 5, and then there's a smaller event in the evening. So Sunday lunchtime events are the big ones, and then a smaller one later on in the day. And there's the fish that's arrived on the table now. So typically you serve other people, and when you do a cheers, you go down the cup, okay? So it's almost like you're bowing to each other. Typical. Some people visiting the various tables. Okay, cheers. There, okay, Gambe. Gambe! Gambe. You have to finish the drink with a Gambe. You can say sui, which is like take it easy, but they really like there you go, you see I've been refilled. So tradition is that somebody else fills your glass. And you should also do your bit and go to other tables and ask for a drink. I've caught out Auntie without a drink, and you can see that she's quite keen to get a drink because it is traditional. If requested to drink, then you have to drink, but it doesn't necessarily need to be alcoholic at all. So here we've got some Sprite, and we can...
Thank you!
Hey, thank you. Hey, cheers. Tradition. Much in the same way we like Chinese script, or Hanzi, the Chinese like to have English script. This symbol on the wall means double happiness, and that's the traditional symbol that's linked to weddings. I guess it's the two people hooking up together, and they obviously use this hall for weddings. And when you put up this sign in your home to indicate that there's been a recent marriage, you basically just leave them up until they naturally fall off, which can be years and years and years later. So I married my wife here in China, and I know that the family home still has some of the double happiness wedding symbols stuck up in it. And then typically at the end of a meal you get the fruit plate, okay, and it almost always has watermelon, sometimes grapes, sometimes some other fruit, but always watermelon, and it indicates, well, to me at least, you know, the end of the meal. You can always know when the end of the meal is. What we had was some rice cakes come out, and then the fruit plate, and then that's it. Okay, here we have another cheers coming round. So again, let's do it. Oops, sorry. Okay, sweet. Some more drinking occurring. Let's see if I can show you in the kitchens a little bit. Might be a bit difficult, but yeah. Okay, so typically have these kind of steaming cabinets. The floor is very slippery, so these are kind of steaming cabinets, I think, but a little bit of a mess. Loads of burners for the woks there. Typically also there will be a little bit of dabao, literally putting in a box some saving of the food that's not used, which is actually a really good thing. So it's recycling any of the food wastage, often to the elderly, but not always, and it means that we're not going to be wasting all of this food, but some of it will actually get used for this evening or tomorrow. And here we have the food cleanup. Now, we've got to be honest, I just did a quick table count, 10 people per table. I think we've got something like 14, 15 tables, so it's been 150 to 60 people. There's bound to be some wastage, if that's what you want to call it, and a lot of it's seafood, so you've obviously got a lot of you know, shells, etc. But there you go, that's the that's a typical large Chinese family party. Now what's happening now is that everybody is leaving, and there will be, just like a wedding, as I was saying earlier, there will be a meal later on this evening, which I can't be a part of because of other commitments, but that will be occurring in something like 4 or 5 hours time. That's been the event in a place like this. I hope that was interesting to see a little bit of kind of inside China life. I'm sorry my Chinese language skills are not better, that I could do a few on-screen interviews, but maybe in future. This might be a bit of an appendix to the main video, but what we've got here is the family kind of small holding. So they do a little bit of farming. I can see the leaves have been affected a little bit there, and classically in China you get these little runs of houses. Okay, so this is my wife's and her uncle's houses here, And what we'll do is quickly go through. There's William. I'll quickly take you through to the back. There's the kitchen, no lights on in there. And then what we've got out the back here are some of the animals that they have. So a pigeon cote, or dove cote. There's some pigeons and doves in there. And then we've got a goat, sometimes two. And then we sometimes have a dog here, but we also have some chickens, which are chickens and ducks, which are all over there and lay eggs that we pick up inside. Let me just make sure that we close the... There we go, there come the chickens. I guess they were expecting some food, I'm sorry, ladies. And then we get them coming inside. And they often lay in here, but there's none at the moment. I think they've probably been taken away. So if I go this way, I can show you background to the front of the houses. And then what we've got next door, this house here is usually unoccupied, and that's what happens a lot here in China as well, because people are moving to the city and we have somewhat unoccupied places which people still come to during the weekend. We've got this actually covered here. There's a well there, and I've had several meals in this room here, and then we've got the kitchen there. Yeah, yeah. And then meals, and that's set up for some mahjong. And I think we've got a second mahjong table here, but nobody playing at the moment. It's really interesting to see them because they automatically shuffle the bricks, tiles, and present them to the players. But yeah, what we have here is a very, very typical short run of houses in the Chinese countryside. And like I said earlier, this is kind of changing. We can't see them very easily, but just about there you might be able to see the high rises that are marching their way north towards where we are right now. So the Chinese government is doing a lot of building development, and places like this will cease to be as the population moves to be more in an urban environment rather than rural. Anyway, a little bit more background detail, a bit of an appendix to the meal today for the 100 days. Hope you enjoyed that. Join me on the next one. Bye.